Whether it's the weather, the beaches, or the tax climate, more and more people are moving to Collier County. The Daily News is always on top of the trends, and we dissect what goes into the sweet life in this week's show. Beginning with Sweet Spot. Collier County is just that for a growing number of tax migrants, moving to Southwest Florida and bringing their wealth with them.
It's not necessarily retired people. It's in fact people that are still earning income. That's how the IRS knows about them. They file income tax returns and claim this income on their taxes. So in a lot of cases, it's people working, entrepreneurs who might even bring a business along with them when they come.
Then, in sweet surprise, we give you a behind-the-headlines look at a coming attraction, unveiling big plans for this massive building in Bonita. Plus, sipping mint juleps, watching the Kentucky Derby, part of many people's idea of the sweet life. But it wouldn't be the same without those delicious hats, some made by a local woman. We'll show you how it's done in Sweet Finish. I'm Amy Osher. Thanks for joining us. We'll also have a commentary from Alan Bartlett. That's all coming up. Welcome back to Behind the Headlines. A southern migration of wealth. That's what's happening in Collier County as people from high-tax states like Illinois and New York relocate here. The Daily News looked at the most recent data available and reported taxpayers moving in brought more than $2 billion with them, making the climate a sweet spot for northern fortunes. Brent Batten has more.
It's interesting, a political consultant who lives here in Collier County now, he used to live in Maryland, and he looked at this data from the IRS, interesting data that tends to show people, high-income people from high-tax areas leave those areas. And what he found looking at this data was that they come disproportionately to Florida, and then beyond that even disproportionately to Collier County. Folks moving here really by the thousands, believe it or not, with incomes averaging about $175,000 a year, have been coming down here every year for several years, which drives up the net worth of the local income, as you can well imagine. And basically it creates a lot of things you see around us, like the demand for high-end housing. It creates a demand for upscale businesses to serve this clientele. Also, you could blame it in part for things like the rising house prices. As folks come down here with a lot of money, they're willing to pay perhaps more money for a house than they might otherwise, driving up the cost of the entire market. So that can create some problems, but in a way it's probably a good problem to have, because you have high worth individuals here. They're now spending their money here as opposed to where they came from in states like Illinois and Maryland, where the tax rates are pretty high. Folks find it preferable to move to Florida with its no income tax, and for any number of reasons then they come to Collier County for the reasons we all know about: the environment, the quality of life, those sorts of things seem to attract them here. So the net result is, I think it was roughly around $1.4 billion in income growth in this area in just 1 year as a result of these high-income folks migrating to Florida and to Collier County. It's not necessarily retired people. It's in fact people that are still earning income. That's how the IRS knows about them. They file income tax returns and claim this income on their taxes. So in a lot of cases, it's people working, entrepreneurs who might even bring a business along with them when they come, or folks that are, a lot of folks in this day and age can choose to work from home and wherever they want to. And as we all know, Collier County is a pretty good place to live and work from if you can.
You don't have to be a top income earner to appreciate Southwest Florida. In this week's Street Beat, we hit the streets and asked what your idea of the good life is.
We are happy people. We're contented people. That's the good life. And we've enjoyed living here in Florida, and we have a very calm, nice life.
Being financially set, obviously family, friends, here in paradise, that's the good life for me, pretty much, yeah.
My idea of the good life is a good balance of everything, of having enough time for family and all the things that you love to do, and also making sure you kind of keep your work and personal life in balance.
I'm retired 8 years, and I just love the beauty of Florida. So I'm staying until I drop.
My idea of the good life is health, happiness, family, the beach, sunshine, Naples.
Access to quality entertainment is generally high on people's list of things that make up the good life. And there's something new that promises to attract attention. The 27,000 square foot Southwest Florida Performing Arts Center is going up in Bonita. With a $7 million price tag, it promises to be a top-notch destination with dining and stage options. Our In the 239 editor Dave Osborne has a sneak preview.
We're usually shooting videos at Captain Brian's Off the Hook Comedy Club, but today we're here at his new creation, the Southwest Florida Performing Arts Center. So let's go meet the man.
You know, we have a lot of flexibility to do many different things. And then of course we have the food and beverage aspect. The restaurant in the front will be operating 7 days a week, and that space will operate completely independently from the actual dinner theater inside here. We could have separate events out there. Those can be closed door events. Then we have separate entrance and exits inside the theater too. So if we had a wedding in the lobby, then we could also do, say, a performance here. And these two, of course, work together, but they won't see each other. I mean, it would be closed door events. So we tie them both together. Then the restaurant, when the restaurant operates, basically the guests would be able to walk through the restaurant into the theater, or walk out from the theater into the restaurant. There's bars out there. There's a lot of lively action. It's a upscale Italian, very modern restaurant, and that's where we're at.
And like this building, I know it's taken a little while. People have driven by and probably wondered, what's that building there? What
Absolutely.
are they doing? It's finally coming into fruition. Can you explain the process it's taken to get to this point?
Basically, we had a hurdling process with the parking. Then we had a hurdling process we completely took down everything out of the building, stripped it down to just a few bare walls, and we started from scratch. Mm-hmm. Typically, if you build a building from the ground up and you have a clean slate, then you don't have problems along the way.
Yeah.
When you take a building and you retrofit it and redesign the whole thing, there's certain things that you don't even, in professionals in the world, can't even come up with to imagine what's going to happen while you're doing that. So along the way, we've had a few snags, and it's taken longer than you might think, but it's a normal timeline for our construction. Once we started,
right.
I mean, we've done a great job to stay on our timeline.
Still to come, commissioned by the Queen. We'll give you a closer look at a jewel-encrusted pen that travels with its own security. Stay with us. While we've recently spoken a great deal about the wealth in Collier County, there's also a wealth of giving here. The Daily News recently partnered in a new initiative to fill local food pantries over the summer. Our Satisfy the Hunger campaign continues. The official kickoff was a week ago here at the Naples Daily News. We invited people to drop off food or make a donation and take a tour of our workplace. Satisfy the Hunger runs until June 3rd. Each week has a theme. We started this week with baby basics and we'll move on to kid snacks.
We have so many kids, about 25,000 kids, I believe, that are living in poverty, and so they don't have food for summers. And our food pantries talk about how their shelves become bare once May, June, July, and August. And the other interesting thing is a lot of parents are working in the tourism industry here in Collier County. So that means when May hits and all the tourists go home, their paychecks drastically reduce for the summer and into fall. So we thought, here's an opportunity if we could partner together to raise money for the food pantries to purchase food, to have people in the community donating food, and see if we couldn't stock those shelves for summer.
The Daily News, along with the Schultz Family Foundation and Community Foundation of Collier County, are spearheading this effort. Alan Bartlett is our very own watchdog. He shares his opinions each week in our commentary. Today's no different.
It's been a taxing week here for the editorial board at the Naples Daily News. First of all, congratulations if you are a working person. As of a couple of days ago, the average worker in Florida has now made enough money to cover their tax bill for 2016. April 20th was Tax Freedom Day. It's 111 days into the year, and it's the day when, If you paid all your taxes up front at the start of 2016, you would now be able to start taking the money you earn and pay your other bills. On another tax-related matter, we suggest it's time to take a fresh look at the tourist tax in Collier County, which at 4% is lower than what is charged in most coastal counties in Florida. A 1% increase would bring in about $4 million more a year. It came up recently when there was talk of how to pay for a spring training stadium. We took note a few days ago of all the money being spent now to open up clogged passes in Southwest Florida. $460,000 to once again open up Clam Pass. Another $2 million or so from the feds. Yes, the federal government that is $19 trillion in debt to dredge Gordon Pass. Wiggins Pass was done last year. We suggest the tourist tax might be a better way in the future to pay for any of these passes that need to be opened up locally. Then there is the idea of having a referendum on a half-cent local sales tax increase in Lee County to build schools. While we were pleased to see the decision to build a high school in Bonita Springs, we just don't think it's fair to in any way tie that to a sales tax referendum. If a high school would have been built many years ago in Bonita Springs, as it should have been, it wouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath. We agree the district should take a closer look at its budget before considering a sales tax referendum. That's a sampling of our recent tax-related issues covered on the editorial pages. To read about what we're thinking and join in the conversation, go to naplesnews.com.
While we're in the newsroom, here's some insight on what we're working on and what it means to you. This is the Editor's Corner.
Thanks, Amy. My name is Brett Blackledge. I'm an editor here at the Naples Daily News. Jacob Carpenter is one of our reporters, and he's worked on a really nice story about some veterans who are getting together this weekend. And Jacob, tell us a little bit about what we can expect.
Sure. Well, it's one of our local residents here is among four gentlemen who will be getting together for the very first time as a group with three of his fellow Marines. They're going to be meeting in St. Augustine. And kind of the real high mark of what they're going to be doing is they're going to try to recreate a picture that they all took 50 years ago, right about to the day. It'll be close. They're not sure the exact day, but they're going to recreate this picture that they all took just a few months before they shipped off to Vietnam. And they all kind of lost track of each other a little bit along the way over the years. But a few years ago, a couple of them kind of came back together and reunited. And just over the years, they've been in touch with each other here and there, but this will be the first time that all four of them have been together.
So what was their experience like in Vietnam?
Well, they were really, at least three of them were really on the front lines of things in Vietnam. Three of them were machine gunners who all saw action. Two of them were wounded in battle. And so in talking with our local resident, Bob, he was just saying how amazing it is that all four of them were able to survive, especially when they saw so many terrible things happen around them and to their fellow Marines. And so for them to all be together, to all have survived and come out of Vietnam safe is just something that they've all really treasured.
You can see this reunion and look at some photos, the recreated photo that they are taking from their original one at naplesnews.com, or pick up the paper at a store locally.
Up next, the first of the Triple Crown races is the epitome of fashionable headwear. We have a local connection and we can't wait to show you some of her creations. And what Look at the Sweet Life doesn't include a sweet treat? I'm sure you'll agree it's a cool option. Here's Tim Ayton.
Shaved ice, a colorful icy treat, has been around for many, many years. Depending on how finely it is shaved or how it's made, sometimes it's known as snow cones, snowballs, or Italian ice. Sandy Scoops, which opened in March next to 21 Spices off US 41 in East Naples, bridges history with its shaved ice. For owner Linda Stevens, her new business was inspired by the old days.
Well, Linda, it's nice to be here with you today, and I was just curious, I know you have an interesting story and what inspired you to open Sandy Scoops to begin with?
Well, it was my grandfather. When we were kids, we used to go to Upper Falls, Maryland, and he would actually sell shaved ice out of his front yard in a little hut that he built. And he would do it 3 months out of the year. And it all started when he would do it back in the 40s. He would put his 10 kids through Catholic high school selling shaved ice 3 months out of the year.
Well, that's something he could do with shaved ice. And here you're in the land now of year-round summer pretty much.
Exactly.
And so that's what gave you the idea
It gave me the idea, and what surprised me is that no one knows what shaved ice is. And I can't believe no one has heard of shaved ice.
Well, what's the difference between shaved ice, for instance? People are more familiar with probably snow cones and maybe even Italian ice. So how does shaved ice differ from those?
Well, this particular machine and all of the machines that look like this, you use blocked ice, and they have really sharp blades inside. So you put the blocked ice in, and it shaves it out like snow. So there's no big chunks of ice. It's like literally snow coming through there.
And you have a lot of flavors. When I first talked with you, I thought you had 3 flavors. And I know egg custard was an important one that you had.
Well, that was my favorite. I mean, that's all I ever wanted was egg custard.
But I look at this wall over here, and you've got Cajun Red Hot, Dreamsicle, Tangerine, Granny Smith Apple, Wedding Cake. There's some impressive different flavors there, so that's great. And I'd like to see how you make them. Can you show us?
Oh, sure. Well, the first thing that we do when a customer comes up, they order their flavors, we get the flavors, and we go into the freezer and we get the blocked ice. We bring it over and we put it into this chute, and we take the little lever and make it so it stays still, so it doesn't move around a lot. And then we just get started. We turn it on and start shaving ice. This is a shaved ice. And that's what we do. So we just kind of give it a little pat so the flavors kind of absorb, and then we take whatever flavors they want and we just start filling it up. Then, if they want a snow cap, we take the sweetened condensed milk, which is my favorite, and we just put a little snow cap on it.
Chances are you've never seen something quite like this, a jewel-encrusted pen commissioned for the Queen of England's Diamond Jubilee. It was on display recently in Naples. In case you missed it, take a look. German pen maker Faber-Castell is known for creating extremely high-quality writing utensils. The company recently brought a collection of pens to Arabesque of Naples. Among them, this gem, the $90,000 Diamond Jubilee pen. The luxury 24-karat gold fountain pen is encrusted with 60 diamonds, along with exquisite citrines. Just 10 of these pens were made in the year 2012. The first went to Queen Elizabeth herself.
There were only 10 of them made worldwide. This is the last one to be sold. It's number 3.
While many of the pens featuring precious metals and jewels go for $2,500 to $9,500, chances are you touch some of this company's handiwork. Faber-Castell's claim to fame is the old standby number 2 pencil. We promised a sweet finish. It'll be hard to top last year's Triple Crown achievement, but a Marco Island woman is doing her best.
My name's Diane Shaggett, and the name of my company is Hats to Die For. I am a milliner, and the difference between a milliner and a hat decorator is that we start from scratch and actually block the hat, dye the hat, design the hat. We don't buy a hat body and then just decorate it. We start from the very beginning, and we can create basically any type of hat that you would like. What inspires me about hats is that I'm looking, sometimes if the person comes in and says that they want a hat and they want to wear it to a wedding or a party, doesn't matter where they're going to wear it. I try to make the most flattering hat for the person because different hat shapes look better on some people than others. So I want to make the most flattering hat shape and size for my customer. And a lot of times it's just random things that give me inspiration, patterns, nature, buildings, it doesn't matter. It's just some things can really strike you that you like the shape or the form and how that you could translate that into a hat. When I'm making a hat, it could be, I could make a hat in a day or it might take me several days. It really depends on what I'm making the hat out of. A product that we use a lot in millinery is called cinnamay, and it is a fiber, it's a organic fiber that's been woven into a very sturdy, stretchy type of material. And I usually like to dye my cinnamay so I can get the specific color that the customer's looking for. Here I've got it as a tie dye. And this is an example of where I had dyed it with butterflies, and then I blocked it, stiffened it, and now it's come into the shape of a hat to where it's a very lightweight hat to wear that gives you good sun protection, and it's got a lot of pizzazz. Some people call millinery a dying industry, and I see that hats are becoming more popular again, especially with Princess Kate. Gotta love Princess Kate. She looks great in all hats, but she is also inspiring younger women to expand their wardrobes and use hats as a really eye-catching accessory. Most of the time, I sell my hats for special occasions. Kentucky Derby is my biggest season. I sell the majority of the hats that I make during that time. But I also do a lot of weddings, mother of the bride in particular. She doesn't have to wear beige and fade into the background. At least she could have a beige hat to go with it. But I see a lot of hats for that purpose. But in South Florida, we need sun protection, so there's a lot of more sun type of hats too.
That's a wrap for this edition of Behind the Headlines. Hope you enjoy a sweet Sunday. You can rewatch or share this show by going to naplesnews.com or liking us on Facebook. I'm Amy Osher. See you back here next week.